Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal exciting details for the week ahead from September 8th to 12th, 2025. First, in the aftermath of the shocking incident where Drew was struck by multiple bullets, the entire community of Port Charles finds itself trapped in a storm of fear, speculation, and unanswered questions. The shooting was not just a random act of violence, it was a carefully executed attack that pointed to the existence of someone with a calculated grudge against him. Almost immediately, everyone began to wonder the same thing: which of Drew's enemies was ruthless enough to pull the trigger? This single question quickly spread through the town like wildfire, leaving no corner untouched by suspicion and no relationship unshaken by doubt. The writers of the ongoing saga understand that the power of such a storyline lies in suspense, and therefore they will not rush to provide a clear answer. These types of mysteries are built to simmer over time, stretching across weeks and months, slowly unraveling piece by piece. As the days go by, what initially appears to be a straightforward case of attempted murder begins to expand into a broader canvas of secrets, motives, and hidden vendettas. The longer the answer remains obscured, the more room there is for tension to build, ensuring that every glance, every offhand comment, and every missing alibi carries a weight of suspicion. Part of the thrill of such a mystery comes from the process of elimination. As viewers and characters alike analyze the clues, various suspects will rise to prominence only to be eventually ruled out. Each elimination brings both relief and renewed paranoia, as suspicion shifts from one individual to another. Some characters may be cleared through ironclad evidence, while others might be freed only after enduring public scorn and mistrust. This back-and-forth cycle of accusation and dismissal is not merely a narrative tool but also an emotional roller coaster designed to keep everyone deeply invested in the unfolding drama. Of course, the Port Charles Police Department is destined to play a central role in this tangled investigation, but their track record leaves much to be desired. Mistakes are inevitable, and they will likely pursue false leads or jump too quickly to conclusions. These missteps open the door to wrongful arrests, further complicating the pursuit of justice. It becomes almost certain that one or more innocent parties will face the humiliation of handcuffs and interrogation, even though they had no hand in the shooting. These blunders will only add fuel to the fire, as the public loses faith in the system's ability to uncover the truth. The first arrest will undoubtedly be one of the most dramatic moments, staged to shock the community and leave everyone questioning the reliability of the investigation. Yet seasoned observers know better than to believe the first person taken into custody is the true assailant. In fact, the real shooter may be watching closely, their conscience burdened with the knowledge that an innocent person is paying for their crime. This guilt may gnaw at them quietly, creating cracks in their carefully constructed facade, while they maintain a desperate effort to remain in the shadows. This cycle of blame and wrongful accusation ensures that the narrative maintains its intensity. Each time a suspect is arrested, the town will divide between those who are convinced of their guilt and those who demand further proof. Families may be torn apart by these differences, and old wounds may reopen as tensions rise. In this way, the fallout from Drew's shooting extends far beyond the physical act itself, triggering a chain reaction that tests loyalties, friendships, and the moral compass of every character entangled in the case. As the investigation drags on, the writers will pepper the storyline with subtle clues that keep everyone guessing. A misplaced object, an overheard conversation, or a suspicious absence will all be woven into the fabric of the mystery, inviting audiences to piece the puzzle together alongside the characters. Some clues will be red herrings designed to mislead, while others will provide genuine insight into the shooter's identity. This deliberate scattering of information ensures that the suspense remains alive, pushing everyone to second-guess their assumptions. Eventually, the true shooter's identity will come to light, but the reveal is unlikely to happen quickly. Instead, the story will stretch toward a crescendo, building tension until the final revelation feels both shocking and inevitable. In the meantime, the uncertainty will create fertile ground for emotional storytelling, as characters wrestle with paranoia, betrayal, and fear. Each misdirection, each false arrest, and each broken bond contributes to the eventual payoff, making the final moment of truth all the more powerful. For now, the identity of Drew's attacker remains shrouded in mystery, but what is certain is that the journey to uncover the truth will be filled with drama and intrigue. As the weeks unfold, audiences can expect to witness a steady flow of dramatic arrests, emotional confrontations, and moments of raw vulnerability. This slow burn approach ensures that the storyline does not simply revolve around the act of violence itself but rather around the ripple effects it sends through every corner of Port Charles. With every episode, the tension will escalate, ensuring that the question of who pulled the trigger remains the beating heart of the drama until the very end. Second, Trina Robinson finds herself caught in an emotional whirlwind as Drew's shooting ripples through Port Charles, casting suspicion and uncertainty across every corner of her life. Already burdened by the fear of losing someone she admires, she becomes deeply unsettled by the thought that either Curtis or Portia, her parents, could somehow be entangled in the dangerous web surrounding Drew. Her natural instinct is to seek the truth, but the more she searches, the more she realizes how delicate the balance of her family has become. Facing the possibility that those closest to her might be drawn into something dark and irreversible, Trina's anxiety grows until it pushes her toward confrontation. At some point, Trina's emotions will boil over, and she will demand clarity from Curtis and Portia. This confrontation will not only highlight her desperation but also underscore her need for honesty in a world that thrives on secrets and half-truths. For Trina, standing before her parents and asking the hard questions is both a risk and an act of courage, because the answers could shake her foundation. Whether her fears are justified or not, the very act of speaking up signals a turning point for her, as she transitions from quiet observer to active participant in the drama that is consuming her family. Meanwhile, Nina Reeves is forced into her own difficult position, tethered to the fragile line between protecting her daughter and navigating the fallout of Drew's ordeal. With Willow's past mistakes and current vulnerability at the forefront, Nina recognizes that she may need to step in more aggressively than ever before. She knows that the custody battle for Wiley is looming, and if there is even a hint that Willow could be implicated or connected to Drew's shooting in any way, the consequences would be devastating. Nina's maternal instinct pushes her to take on the weight of responsibility, even if it means exposing herself to scrutiny or criticism. For Nina, protecting Willow means shielding her from accusations and ensuring that her chances of maintaining custody are not compromised. If Willow appears guilty or even complicit in the chaos, Nina is prepared to step into the spotlight and take the blame herself. This willingness to sacrifice her own reputation highlights both the strength of her love and the desperation of her situation. It is not simply about defending Willow, it is about preserving a future where mother and daughter can stand together without being torn apart by the relentless forces working against them. At the same time, Willow herself faces mounting pressure. She is already emotionally fragile, navigating her health struggles and the complexities of her relationship with Michael, and the specter of Drew's shooting adds another layer of tension. Even if she is not directly implicated, the whispers of suspicion and the weight of potential legal consequences linger around her. The struggle to hold on to her children while keeping her personal world intact is a battle that threatens to consume her, leaving her reliant on Nina's fierce determination and her own inner resilience. Michael Corinthos is not immune to these pressures, as Drew's shooting reverberates through his life as well. He must balance his role as a protective partner to Willow with his responsibilities as a father, all while wrestling with the possibility that his family's long list of enemies could now be targeting them again. His loyalty is tested as he contemplates whether to stand by Willow at all costs or to draw a firm line if protecting her jeopardizes the safety of their children. His every decision feels like a gamble, and the weight of leadership within the Corinthos family presses down harder than ever. Sonny Corinthos, always positioned at the epicenter of Port Charles chaos, faces his own set of challenges. His criminal empire has long attracted danger, and Drew's shooting threatens to expose vulnerabilities that Sonny cannot afford. At the same time, the personal stakes are undeniable. Drew is someone connected to the extended family, and the Corinthos circle is deeply entwined with his fate. Sonny must manage the crisis with both ruthlessness and care, weighing how much to reveal and how best to protect the people who look to him for strength. His role as patriarch comes into sharper focus, but so too does the burden of his influence. Carly Spencer, as always, stands at the crossroads of loyalty, anger, and grief. Drew's suffering strikes a raw nerve for her, forcing her to grapple with emotions that are both deeply personal and politically complex. Her instincts to protect, to rally, and to fight for justice are awakened, yet she is also aware of how easily her involvement could complicate the investigation. Carly knows that the Corinthos family must stand united, but she also fears that secrets and rivalries could tear them apart just when they need each other most. Her determination to remain steady becomes both her strength and her greatest challenge. With all of these forces colliding, a family meeting becomes almost inevitable. The Corinthos clan, fractured yet bound by blood and history, will be forced to come together and face the reality of Drew's shooting and its aftermath. Such a gathering promises to be charged with emotion, as old grudges resurface, new alliances form, and difficult truths come to light. It will not be a calm reconciliation but rather a storm of voices, each fighting to be heard, each grappling with their own fears and agendas. In this volatile environment, the true test will be whether they can unite as a family against the external threats bearing down on them or whether suspicion, pride, and conflicting loyalties will fracture them beyond repair. Third, Anna Devane finds herself in a complicated position as the investigation into Drew's shooting deepens. A seasoned agent with years of experience in espionage and law enforcement, Anna is no stranger to moral gray areas, but this case weighs on her differently. The complexity lies in her personal feelings toward Drew. Though she is committed to finding the truth, she also carries the private belief that perhaps Drew brought some of this upon himself. This internal conflict adds layers to her role in the investigation, forcing her to balance professional duty with personal judgment, and complicating how she directs her focus as evidence begins to surface. Dante Falconeri, likewise, wrestles with conflicting emotions. As a detective and someone committed to justice, he knows his role is to uncover the truth without bias, yet his personal opinion of Drew clouds his instincts. Dante has long struggled with the balance between family loyalty, moral integrity, and the compromises required in Port Charles. And now Drew's shooting places him squarely at the center of that struggle. His commitment to his badge is unwavering, but the nagging thought that Drew deserved this fate lingers, quietly influencing how aggressively he pursues each lead. This internal tug-of-war makes Dante's journey one of the more emotionally charged within the investigation. Harrison Chase, the third member of this investigative triad, adds his own perspective. Known for his compassion and level-headed nature, Chase is typically the most empathetic voice in any investigation. Yet even he cannot ignore the reality that Drew's choices have made him a dangerous figure in Port Charles. Chase's struggle is perhaps the most transparent, as he voices his skepticism more readily and allows his doubts to color his judgment. The collaboration between him, Dante, and Anna becomes less about perfect teamwork and more about reconciling their diverging views while still pushing forward to identify the shooter. Despite their private opinions of Drew, the three investigators commit to doing everything within their power to solve the case. They scour crime scenes, follow leads, and interrogate suspects with the intensity that the situation demands. The paradox of their efforts lies in the fact that they are driven not by affection for Drew but by their duty to uphold justice and protect the integrity of their work. The investigation, while methodical, is infused with tension because each officer knows they are chasing the truth for reasons that differ from the usual pursuit of justice. The question of Drew's survival looms large over the investigation. Shot multiple times, his condition remains precarious, and it seems increasingly likely that he may endure a lengthy coma if he survives at all. This medical limbo adds to the suspense, as doctors and loved ones wait for any sign of improvement. For Anna, Dante, and Chase, Drew's comatose state is both a curse and a complication. On one hand, it prevents them from questioning him immediately, but on the other, it offers them time to piece together their own narrative before Drew has the chance to present his version of events. In this period of waiting, the investigators are left to rely heavily on circumstantial evidence, witness statements, and speculative theories. This creates fertile ground for missteps, as assumptions begin to replace facts, and the absence of Drew's testimony leaves a gaping hole in the narrative. The longer he remains unconscious, the more room there is for others to manipulate the situation, spreading rumors or presenting misleading evidence that shifts suspicion toward innocent parties. The vacuum created by Drew's silence is as dangerous as the bullets that struck him. If Drew ultimately pulls through and awakens from his coma, the intensity of the story will escalate dramatically. His return to consciousness will not be a quiet moment of relief, but rather a thunderclap that reverberates across Port Charles. Doctors may celebrate his resilience, but the police will be waiting at his bedside, ready to demand answers about the night of the shooting. Drew's survival means he must relive the trauma, and his words will carry the power to reshape the entire investigation, either confirming suspicions or shattering carefully constructed theories. The moment Drew is capable of speaking will mark a turning point. For Anna, Dante, and Chase, the stakes rise significantly, because their credibility and the direction of their investigation may be challenged by Drew's account. If his version of events contradicts their findings or exposes their biases, their professional reputations could be on the line. Moreover, Drew's perspective may ignite new conflicts, as he could choose to accuse someone unexpected or even attempt to conceal details that implicate him further. Ultimately, the storyline is less about whether Drew lives or dies and more about the ripple effects of his survival. The investigators are caught between duty and personal opinion, wrestling with their own biases while preparing for the day when Drew finally opens his eyes. His awakening will bring not only relief but also a tidal wave of questions that could destabilize the fragile balance of Port Charles. Until that moment arrives, the community waits in suspense, the investigators press forward with conflicted hearts, and Drew lingers between life and death, the center of a storm that has only just begun to gather strength. Fourth, at the Five Poppies Resort, tension builds like a storm that refuses to pass. What was meant to be a temporary refuge quickly becomes a volatile trap, with Vaughn and Jocelyn realizing the danger surrounding them is far greater than they first anticipated. Their fear of never making it home alive grows heavier with each passing hour, the isolation of the resort amplifying every creak of the walls and every shadow that stretches too long. The more they try to rationalize their situation, the clearer it becomes that they are not in control, and that their fate may rest entirely in the hands of someone else. The fear gnawing at Vaughn and Jocelyn only deepens when communications falter, leaving them cut off from safety and unable to rely on familiar support. It is in this fragile moment that the idea of a savior becomes not just a hopeful dream but a desperate necessity. They need someone to step in, someone strong enough to break through the layers of danger closing in on them. That hope crystallizes when a mysterious, anonymous phone call reaches Jason Morgan, carrying with it both the urgency of their peril and the shocking revelations that Britt Westburn has uncovered. Suddenly, the situation is no longer just about two young people stranded at a resort. It becomes a mission with life or death stakes. Jason, always the reluctant hero, reacts to the call with his characteristic calm urgency. He knows better than anyone that when time is running out, hesitation can be fatal. The shocking news from Britt galvanizes him further, pushing him to act decisively. His arrival at Five Poppies is not only the appearance of a rescuer but also the reawakening of his role as protector, a mantle he has worn for years even when it cost him dearly. For Jason, charging into the fray is instinct, but this time the implications are far more personal. If Jason manages to save Jocelyn and Vaughn, the reunion will be layered with conflicting emotions. Relief at their survival will be tempered by a flood of questions that cannot be ignored. Jason will want answers not just about what went wrong at Five Poppies, but about why Jocelyn is entangled in the dangerous world of the WSB in the first place. He will see not only a young woman in peril but also someone he cares about making choices that threaten her safety and tether her to risks she may not fully understand. His protective instincts will not allow him to let the matter rest. The looming question becomes whether Jason will press Jocelyn into confessing the truth to Carly. Jason knows Carly well enough to understand that withholding something this significant will only create deeper wounds when the truth inevitably surfaces. His instinct will be to protect Jocelyn from Carly's wrath, but at the same time, he understands that secrets destroy trust, and trust is the cornerstone of the Corinthos family. Jason will feel the weight of this decision heavily, knowing that whatever choice he makes could fracture relationships or preserve them in fragile balance. For Jocelyn, the dilemma is even more painful. She knows Carly's reaction would be explosive, laced with fury, fear, and disappointment. To admit her involvement with the WSB would be to risk not only her mother's trust but also the stability of her life back home. Jocelyn's instinct will be to plead with Jason for silence, begging him to shield her from the fallout. In her eyes, Jason represents not just safety but also secrecy, someone she believes will protect her even from the truth itself. The desperation of her plea would stem from a mix of guilt, fear, and her longing to maintain the illusion that everything is under control. The conflict between Jason's loyalty to Carly and his compassion for Jocelyn will become one of the central tensions of the aftermath. Jason, who has always lived by a code of loyalty and honor, may find himself torn between betraying Carly by keeping quiet or betraying Jocelyn by exposing her. This battle within him reflects the greater struggle that has always defined his life, the clash between duty to those he loves and the desire to protect them from harm at all costs. No matter which path he chooses, someone will be hurt, and that weight will sit heavily on his shoulders. Meanwhile, Vaughn's role in the ordeal cannot be overlooked. As someone swept into the same danger, his perspective offers an added layer of complication. His fear mirrors Jocelyn's, but he lacks the deep those connections that shape her choices. For Vaughn, the rescue by Jason is nothing short of miraculous, yet it also thrusts him into a world of secrets and conflicts he never sought. His presence in Jocelyn's orbit may spark further tension, as Jason questions whether Vaughn is an anchor of support or an added liability. Ultimately, the drama at Five Poppies becomes more than a tale of danger and survival. It transforms into a crucible for truth, loyalty, and sacrifice. Jason's intervention may save lives, but it cannot shield anyone from the emotional consequences of what has been revealed. Jocelyn's future within the WSB, Carly's inevitable reaction, and Vaughn's uncertain place in this tangled web all point to a storm of fallout that will ripple across Port Charles. The gunfire and shadows of Five Poppies may fade, but the secrets and choices made there will haunt everyone involved long after they return home. Finally, the looming possibility of Ryan Paevey's return to General Hospital as Nathan West, or perhaps someone bearing his exact likeness, has injected a fresh surge of speculation into the storyline. Nathan's death was one of the most emotional turning points in recent years, and his absence has left an infillable void in the lives of Maxie and the wider Port Charles community. But soap operas thrive on second chances, unexpected resurrections, and uncanny doppelgangers, making Nathan's reemergence not only possible, but also electrifying in its potential. His return, whether as himself or as a shadowy double, promises to send shockwaves through every corner of the canvas. The prospect of Nathan being woven into Britt Westburn's storyline adds another layer of intrigue. Britt's arc has always been surrounded by mystery, danger, and high stakes. So introducing a figure like Nathan, either the real man miraculously returned or a chilling impersonator, creates the perfect storm of emotional and narrative chaos. If the writers intend to tie Britt's secrets to a powerful new villain, then Nathan's image is the perfect weapon. His familiar face could be used to manipulate emotions, draw out vulnerabilities, and to stabilize Port Charles in ways no other character could achieve. There is undeniable dramatic appeal in the idea of Nathan being a victim of brainwashing. Soap audiences are well accustomed to plots involving memory tampering and psychological conditioning, and such a twist would allow the show to honor Nathan's legacy while reinventing him for modern arcs. If Nathan were alive all along, controlled by forces beyond his will, it would transform his tragic death into a harrowing captivity narrative. Maxie's grief, Britt's guilt, and the community's memories would suddenly collide with the truth that Nathan was never truly gone, only hidden and reshaped into something unfamiliar. On the other hand, the possibility of an imposter wearing Nathan's face opens the door to a darker kind of drama. An impersonator could infiltrate the lives of Britt, Maxie, and others, using their emotions as weapons against them. The resemblance to Nathan would make him nearly untouchable, allowing him to slip past defenses and sow mistrust wherever he goes. The emotional trauma of confronting someone who looks exactly like Nathan but acts in sinister ways could fracture friendships, families, and alliances, destabilizing Port Charles far more effectively than any ordinary villain. This uncertainty whether the figure is truly Nathan, a brainwashed version of him, or a complete fraud creates fertile ground for months of slow-burn storytelling. Characters will be forced to question what they see, who they trust, and how far they are willing to go for the truth. Britt, in particular, will be thrust into the center of this mystery, her ties to both Nathan and the WSB dragging her deeper into the shadows. The storyline could even intersect with Jason, Jocelyn, and the Five Poppies arc, drawing together multiple narrative threads under one powerful umbrella of suspense. The emotional stakes cannot be overstated, especially for Maxie. If Nathan truly returns, it could reignite her long-buried love and force her to reassess her current relationships. A brainwashed Nathan would test her loyalty, her resilience, and her willingness to fight for the man she once loved. Conversely, if the man is proven to be an imposter, the devastation of facing a cruel mimic of Nathan could destroy Maxie's fragile stability, reopening wounds she has struggled for years to heal. For Maxie, the stakes are not just narrative, they are deeply personal and potentially shattering. The implications ripple outward into the broader canvas as well. Sunny, Dante, Anna, and other major players would all find themselves pulled into the chaos, either investigating the mysterious return or grappling with its fallout. If Nathan's reappearance connects to Brit's secrets or to a WSB conspiracy, then this could expand into a larger canvas arc with international implications, espionage, and dangerous enemies. Port Charles has seen its share of villains, but one with Nathan's face could be the most destabilizing of all, simply because of the emotional havoc he could wreak. What makes this setup particularly compelling is its ability to sustain suspense over time. By carefully revealing bits of evidence, perhaps a DNA test, an unexplained scar, or a memory fragment, the writers can keep audiences guessing for weeks, even months. Each twist would only deepen the mystery. Is this truly Nathan, trapped in a labyrinth of lies, or is it a master manipulator playing the role of his life? The uncertainty ensures that every scene featuring him becomes a centerpiece of speculation, driving fan engagement and fueling debates across social platforms. According to General Hospital spoilers, the week of September 812 promises major developments, and this Nathan-centric storyline is likely to be one of them. Whether it takes the form of a shocking reveal, a cryptic clue, or a dramatic first appearance, the stage is set for chaos. The possibility of Ryan Paevey's return, whether as Nathan Reborn, brainwashed, or Reap Sejuerent's emotional devastation, narrative fireworks, and lasting repercussions for the canvas. One thing is certain, Port Charles will not emerge from this storyline unchanged, and viewers will not want to miss a single moment of the storm that follows.